I had two doctors. The one doctor was older, probably 75, and he's like, your plumbing of your heart is good. He's like, the electrical is messed up, and we don't know why. I can't tell you why it's not why your heart's performing this way. We were all hurting during COVID. We were all going through our own journey. We were all going
100%.
through restrictions, and so the manifestation of this post issue, we all have issues, whether we had the vaccination shot and had issues, whether we had COVID. That's the thing that I'm really realizing is it stirred a lot of people because we all had hurt. We all had loss.
God puts us through the ringer. Sometimes we're pissed. It hurts. It sucks. It beats us down. But to sit in prayer and to sit in stillness and to focus in on taking care of ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, making sure we're having the right policies so we don't have that anxiety about what happens if I leave this earth. It's so, so important. Hey, what's going on, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Love Local Chicagoland podcast. I'm here with a local community member. He's a local neighbor here in our community. It's also an insurance agent that experienced something in life that none of us want to be able to go through. See, I know there's people that think different things about this, but at the end of the day, this is science with things that happen. The COVID shot did something to his heart. Myocarditis is what came out while he was training for a marathon. You see, this was a healthy man. It's an insurance agent that's here locally in our community, and he got hit, and he got hit hard. But sometimes we're put through the ringer, aren't we? To be able to learn, to be able to grow, and to be better servants, I think, at the end of the day. And that's just what happened to John. You see, he was in the hospital. He went through the ringer. He didn't know if he was going to live or if he was going to die. Could you even imagine that? But through that journey, he got to understand what it's like to be a patient. What it's like to go through and be there and not know that, like, all this stuff is happening in my body, but what's happening here? Are my bills piling up? You see, when you see things from different perspectives and your perception for yourself can widen. And I think when you talk to John here today, you're going to hear just that. And you're probably also going to want to give your insurance agent a call to make sure you have the right coverage to protect you and your family. My friends, I'm super excited to introduce you to John Dobbins. John, welcome to the show, man.
Wow. Thank you for the introduction.
It's my pleasure, man. We've gotten to be friends over the last year or so, and just being able to get your story out. And it's, it's, for me, I remember the first time we talked, it was like the COVID shot. Everybody's scared to talk about, like, the COVID shot and how it impacts people because when you watch the news, there was just such division in all of that. Yeah. But at the end of the day, things happen, and in certain people's bodies reacted the way that they did. Yours being one of them, and there's heart stuff that was there. It's the myocarditis.
Yeah.
You were training for a marathon.
Yeah.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Tell me kind of that day. It was May, right? Was that the time frame?
Yeah, it was May.
May. Tell me that May day.
Yeah.
Tell me what happened. Kind of what went down.
Wow. Yeah, so, well, first of all, thank you for just summarizing the story. So hearing you summarize it is pretty crazy for me, and it's like because it's kind of surreal, everything that I went through. And but on that day, on May of 2021, I went to go take the second COVID vaccination shot. And you know what's crazy is I went to go take it, and the reason that I got the vaccination shot is that our church was opening up. And because they were opening up, we had a lot of people there that were concerned about, hey, you better get the vaccination shot. And so I got the vaccination shot, and then that day I went to get the second vaccination shot. And what's crazy is when I went in, I got this weird feeling like, don't do it. And I stood at the door, for like 60 seconds. And then I decided to go in. So there was something calling me to go ahead with that duty, and I went in and I took the shot. The next day, I was getting into the shower and passed out, and nobody was at the house, so I passed out. When I woke up, it was kind of crazy, it was kind of surreal, and I had some pain in my back, and there was overall, I was just not feeling well. But that journey, what it led to is within a couple weeks, I had to go to the hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. And all this over that 2-week period of time, all of a sudden I was getting these chest pains. Everything changed after that, after I passed out. And so it took a couple weeks, but that day was so surreal, so.
Yeah, so it was a process. You were experiencing symptoms from that time of getting the shot to afterwards, and eventually it ended up you in the hospital.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And in the hospital, from our notes, some type of AFib, and they were talking about putting a pacemaker in place. Can you talk to us a little bit about that part of the story?
Yeah. So when I first went in, they took my heart rate, and right away it's like your heartbeat's down to like 35 seconds per minute, and you've got 5-second pauses. So you're in AFib. And over the next couple of days, so I was in the hospital the first time 8 days, and the first couple of days they were just doing all kinds of tests. We don't know what this is. I had 2 doctors. The one doctor was older, probably 75, and he's like, "Your plumbing of your heart is good." He's like, "The electrical is messed up, and we don't know why. I can't tell you why it's not why your heart's performing this way." He's like, "I know a pacemaker would fix it. And we need the bed, and so we're going to put a pacemaker in you." And then I had another doctor. He's probably like 40, 45, Dr. Agard. I love him. He's like, "I've been studying, the COVID vaccination shot. There's a lot of ties to myocarditis with the vaccination shot that's causing AFib." And he's like, "We're going to do a test." And he's like, if we're going to do this test, if when you wake up, you're either going to have a pacemaker in you or we determine you have myocarditis and we're going to put a heart monitor in you. And he's like, either way, you're going to have a device in you, and then we're going to make a decision of how to treat you. So when I went into this procedure, I didn't know if I was going to have a pacemaker or not. So I felt fortunate after that procedure that I ended up with myocarditis.
Yeah.
I was happy to have myocarditis and not have a pacemaker in me. But
if you got to pick, I mean, shoot.
Yeah. I was so scared, so I didn't know. So now I have a heart monitor. I have a real heart monitor in me that monitors. So that's good, And but at that point, those 8 days, we didn't know. And so after the 8 days, when I left the hospital, I had myocarditis. We were going to treat it, and I was on this different journey that happened May of 21.
Yeah. And so you're in the hospital 8 days. Other than that, were you like in and out of care as well? I'm trying to think of it not only from a human perspective and just how that impacted you, but also from like an insurance standpoint. Because I know you talked about it, you racked up over $1 million in bills in this time. So what did that care look like, and what drove up those costs to be over $1 million?
Well, that's a great point. And that's another part that's frustrating, the transparency part of it. It's really hard to see all these $1 million of bills, but we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But during those 8 days, one thing that happens when you're in the hospital 8 days is you have a lot of rotation of nurses, doctors. There's a lot of transition going on. And as a result of that, there's a lot of relearning. It's kind of like I had to be a self-advocate just to let the transitional people know, oh, the doctor's coming to do this. Oh, he said this. Because sometimes that transition gets lost. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I think that's all part of the bills, right? Lots of procedures, lots of different people touching my care, lots of medicine, medications. And quite honestly, the first time I was in there, it was overwhelming because at that point, I wasn't even a victim. I was probably a pre-victim where I didn't even know what was going on. When I go to the hospital now, I'm a much different person. I know how to self-advocate. I know what is business, and those are the types of things that I want to help people as well learn how to do that. Mm-hmm. But that first time was pretty overwhelming because I didn't know how to manage any of the stuff I was hearing. So all these different things and all these different costs, I had no idea what was happening the first visit.
Yeah. You said something into me that I think is a beautifulness in the storm, but you said you're a self-advocate. You're able to be a self-advocate for people, like, or you yourself, obviously, through that. But to me now, is your job, like, the specialty in working with you is that, like, you have this experience and you're advocating for them. And
Yes.
people are like, I always get upset when one of my family members go to some corporation or some bigger place that they don't know the people that they work with, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because when you know the people that you work with, I could just give you a call, John, and because you know my heart, I know your heart, I could give you a call, and all of a sudden things happen. You're in a hospital. You could be talking to your patient your client, and being like, maybe it's his wife or her wife, whatever the story is. And you could help them maybe ask the right questions because of that journey.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities, both on the medical side and the advice and the things you're hearing, and then there's so much on the premium side too. And that's the side that I feel like I've focused a lot on recently, is how to lower your costs, how to do things like the first time I was in the hospital, those 8 days. So I was out probably about 6 weeks at this point, and I get a bill in the mail, and this bill is for like $83,000. I can't afford this. I thought there was insurance. So I call Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's who I had at the time. I wasn't with J. Krug at the time. I was with another company, but thank God they had Blue Cross Blue Shield. They had good insurance. And so when I called them, what they said is that the last 4 days I was in the hospital the first time were not covered. They were not covered because there's no reason that I should have been in the hospital 8 days. So that's why I got the invoice for $80,000. So the first thing I do is I'm calling everybody I can, right? I'm calling the HR person. Oh my God, this happened. I called the insurance broker. I called Blue Cross Blue Shield. Well, I was talking to them, and then I called the hospital. And so through all these calls, I was able to get that waived, and again, it might have gotten waived anyhow, but the point is when you get a bill like that, when you get an $80,000 bill, you're like, wow, this is life-changing, right? I got to go back. I called the emergency room again.
Yeah.
But no, that was crazy. But stuff like that, there were so many things like that came up.
Yeah, it's to me, I think it's a transformation in a way, kind of from seeing the story from above and hearing you talk, and being in your role as an insurance agent, during the day, and then experiencing this, to have this story, to me, it's powerful for you as an insurance agent, because it makes you better, just as we were saying. Is there a time, when did you realize that this was going to impact the way you work? Was it early on? Was it later? Is it now?
It's a great question. I think even I think I started realizing about 6 months ago that there was more to it. And part of the reason for that is probably about a year ago, I had a second ablation. And that second ablation, and I can explain what that is, but a second ablation is what fixed my situation. And so that was about a year ago. So I was about 2.5 years into this.
Wow.
3 years into it, of just all this crazy. When I started feeling better, once the ablation worked, and ablation is just cauterizing, burning the extra heartbeats of the AFib. And so when they did that, the second time it worked. So very grateful that happened. But it's been like a year. So during that journey of a year of getting better, a couple things have happened. I've started working out slowly. I'm never probably going to run a half marathon again.
Yeah. Sorry, brother.
But I'm better. And so, those aspects of it, as I get better, I think that's what's important. That's what I'm focusing on. And as I get better, I feel kind of this call to do something with my experience. And so that's how I think it's bubbled up inside me,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really beautiful, man. You said something powerful during prep. I don't want my clients to be caught off guard. I want them to be protective if life flips the script, was your quote. How do you lead with that message now?
I don't know that I'm leading enough with that message because I am passionate about it, but you don't go into a sales conversation and say, hey, I don't lead with this conversation. So, it's interesting. A lot of my clients don't even know this.
Does it wake you? To me, like, when I hear that question, I think of like, there's something within your purpose here.
True.
So it's more about how do you get up in the morning,
right?
Too, you know, like, do you feel better going to work? Do you feel like you're doing more? Like, I don't know. Like, what do you feel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think it's done is it's made me more focused. So over the last year, I think I'm really focusing on the clients I want to help, the clients I want to serve.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your ability to be able to help people navigate the system is, you're going to be better for this. Unfortunately, you had to go to the damn ringer to be able to get there, but you're able to, educate and inform your clients in a different way. And I think, maybe you haven't done it yet, but I think there's a heart side to it too, because you went through that. You're able to help negotiate it with your clients. Not even negotiate the deal, but help them, keep them in a level playing ground because you've seen it from a similar perspective.
Can I say this too?
Please.
So back to your question, I think the other thing about this journey and owning it, the confidence of it is the fact that when it first happened, I was more concerned about me. I was more concerned about me getting better, my family, and as I feel better, I guess one of the things that I really feel compelled to do is just share it. And a year ago, when I started feeling better, I started sharing it. And what happened when I started sharing it, when I started feeling better a while ago, is I got very political conversations, and it made me uncomfortable because I wasn't looking for political conversations.
That was our first conversation. It was about politicalness, and it shows the importance of talking to people locally that that are different than you or similar than you, but just talk to people and not to judge and not to just listen to this thing.
Yeah.
Because what you had to face during those times, this is how our conversation started, like, what is truth at the end of the day?
Yeah.
What is truth right now? We're being spun from all different sides and walks of life. Like, this is super intentional. This is a cycle history, and it's what it is. Both sides, I think, could agree on that. I think at the end of the day, it's about like understanding people's story. Why I'm so passionate about stories, and especially at a local level, is just because of that, John.
Yeah.
Is because when we understand people's stories and we get to understand their perceptions, it could help us broaden our perspective.
Yeah.
But we can't do that unless we listen and unless we understand.
Yeah.
So I hate that you had to go through that, but maybe that's just a part of all of this that was a part of your journey that led you to here.
Yeah.
I think you're a passionate man. You're a heart-led man, and I think that comes off in this. So to make it a political thing, I personally think us as neighbors need to be better to each other and just talk to each other and look at each individual as their own people. Yeah. and not put us in this box or this algorithm, because we're not in this box or in this algorithm. Yeah. Each one of us is built uniquely. Yeah. So each one of us are going to be impacted uniquely.
Can I say one more thing?
Please, go
Sorry,
ahead.
What you said was so great and so important, and I think one of the things that I found through COVID, and even sharing my story and then seeing some crazy reaction, is that we were all hurting during COVID. Mm-hmm. We were all going through our own journey. We were all going 100%. Through restrictions, and so the manifestation of this post issue, we all have issues, whether we had the vaccination shot and had issues, whether we had COVID, whether we lost people. I think and just as you said this, I think that's the thing that I'm really realizing is it stirred a lot of people because we all had hurt. We all had loss.
That's it. My story through that, you're right. I agree on that. And I think we all are going through our own internal journeys. Maybe not all of us, but many of us are, right? I stopped drinking in 2021 because I saw how it was, I wouldn't say it stopped completely. I stopped the way I was drinking before, which was completely unhealthy and completely in excess and completely to numb the feelings that I was feeling. So our journeys are different, but I'm not in a box on this algorithm. You're not in a box on this algorithm. It goes to everybody's story is unique, bro. And that's what I really, really want the world to be able to know, is that our stories are unique. So listen, seek to understand, talk to people that look like you, that look different than you, that talk different than you, that all of it, because the things that you could learn can broaden your perspective. We all have a perception of what we see, and some of ours are allowing ourselves to get wider, and some of us are keeping them narrow. What we need to do is talk and understand each other's stories so we could broaden our perceptions by understanding our neighbors' stories, and so that it could change our perspectives overall, so that we could focus in on being able to build better lives, man. So whether it's media guys or whether it's insurance agents or anybody and everything in between, we could support each other locally, and we cannot be in a place where we're allowing something that happened to you to be politicized because of this damn thing. That's ridiculous. Talk to your neighbor. Get me going. Let's go. All right. I'm going to move this on. You started the pot. I believe, off topic, I believe we're in a time where we need to focus in on building bigger tables. In order to do that, we need to understand people's stories. And we need to listen, and we need not to get pulled into the mess. And in order to do that, we might need to do some work ourselves. I know I do it daily, and it's an upward struggle. And I think you're talking about that in your own way, and we'll talk about that as we continue to evolve. I want to keep us on topic, back on topic now, but I love that part, and I'm glad you mentioned that part of the conversation, because I didn't build that much in here, but I'm gonna be honest with you, John. I think that's important. So the fact that it came out and it was something that you were feeling passionately about, I think it was supposed to be in here, because it's important for us to understand each other's stories. And I don't know if that would have gotten out in any other way than you speaking your heart. So I appreciate that.
Well, as you're asking me this, I think the answer to your real question is that I think that journey of when I first went to tell my story, I'm feeling better, telling my story, all of a sudden I get all this political reaction. That helped me go back and be like, what do I want to tell? What am I trying to tell? What am I trying to say? And I think that regrouping and how I'm coming out now with kind of the business and sharing my story of all the problems with the medical and the history and the premiums and that part of it, and controlling costs, that makes me feel good, because I think that's something I can share that people can relate to and not be conflictual. It's kind of like, let's help people and not make people conflictual. So I think I had to go through that to come where I'm at now. It could help make me stronger and focused.
Well, I think you see more of the system. Right?
Well, that's
true. At the end of the day,
that's true.
Which kind of leads us into the next question. We're going to talk going into helping people navigate the system with insurance and healthcare. What are the biggest mistakes or blind spots people have when it comes to healthcare plans or benefits?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there's a lot. I think people have been in this habit prior to the last couple of years of you just keep renewing. Hey, this is what I've had. This is what I always had. Prices keep going up, but my employees are happy, and so. But I think what's happened with the premiums going up and with the healthcare being out of control, I think what's happening is people are scrutinizing. They're shopping more. The other thing is that other solutions that have been around, they're starting to emerge as attractive solutions. So I think what it's done is it's created more opportunity. I think people are shopping a little more. I think people are scared because this cost, healthcare insurance is the number 2 business coverage for businesses. And so, if that thing keeps going up, it's hurting businesses, so they're not profitable, and so these are the things that we're helping navigate. But I think that's what trend has happened, is that people are really paying attention to it now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great insight. Thank you. During our prep call, you talked a little bit about level funded plans. I'm not an insurance expert, so please, I'm coming at this from a novice level.
Yeah.
Why do they matter, and why aren't they used more?
Yeah. Well, a little background is that what we know today is what most people know as fully insured programs, and that's Blue Cross Blue Shield. United Healthcare has it too. So in Chicago, we're kind of spoiled with Blue Cross Blue Shield, which means that the carrier takes all the risk. That as we have the copays, the deductibles, we know how to manage that plan, but everything's really included. When you start talking about level funded, it's on the path to what's called self-insurance. Self-insurance is all a la carte. So everything from the administration, the network, the prescription, you put all these things together a la carte so you can pick and choose. You can eliminate certain things or minimize certain things so you can save money in self-insurance. Level funded's in between those two things. So it's not everything included. It's not everything a la carte. Most things are included. Most things are like fully insured. So the only difference is that there's an opportunity with your premiums. You could get money back if you're healthy for the year. So in level funded, it really works if in healthy groups. So that's really the caveat in it, where with fully insured, doesn't matter if you're healthy, unhealthy, they're gonna insure you. Premiums keep going up, but there's a larger pool to collect the claim money. So sorry if that's confusing, but that's.
Well, so what I'm going to tell people is just call John. That's what I'm going to tell people. But it's important to have a trusted expert that's a guide for you that knows their stuff. None of us could know it all anymore. Like we could chat GPT things, we could get high level overview things, whatever, but we don't know the in-depthness of everything. So that's why it's important to be able to talk to professionals as yourself. For business owners or HR teams, where should they start if their premiums are keep going up and if they feel stuck?
I think the first place to start is one is, I would say, what's your relationship with your broker? If it's not strong and it's just transactional and vendor oriented, I would say probably start there and try to fix that relationship. Have a true relationship where they understand your needs and requirements. So I think start there. I think the other thing is that you want to be healthy, right? So with insurance, if you're unhealthy, if you have claims, that's where they come in. Accidents happen, like my accident happened, right? It happens, and you can't control certain things, but you want to try to do things, and that's why I've created some controls and things of, how do you do things that you can control and be as healthy as you possibly can, work on premiums, work on mitigation. That's where I've gone. That's the type of things that I'm thinking about. But again, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a process.
Yeah, can I see that list?
Yeah, of course. So it's a control guidebook that I've created. I am creating, and there's 9 controls. And when we work with organizations, I go in, I do a review. A lot of times, I'll ask questions to understand. Like one of them on there is. HSAs, sometimes groups don't have an HSA or have never heard of them. So it's kind of like in this day and age, you probably should have been educated by now about an HSA, but if you haven't, that's okay. Here's an opportunity to understand. HSAs are tools that are everything that you save and pay for your medical costs. They're tax-free because you're putting them through a health savings account. So again, the more people know about them and the more traction that they have, the more people are saving money. But again, it's an education process.
Yeah, amen. And what I like about this sheet, for one, is that you're guiding me through this sheet. But for two, that it's well-rounded, right? To me, I think about like a healthy life is about body, mind, and spirit at the end of the day. And this kind of touches base on that in some way, not so much the spirit side. I think having peace to know that this is all taken care of would probably help with that a little bit. But I love focus on becoming the healthiest version of yourself, which I think that could tie into body, mind, and spirit,
Yeah.
and each uniquely for everybody. But it's important to be the healthiest version of yourself, right? Like you're not gonna you could like decrease the risk for whatever you're prone to if you take care of yourself. Something's gonna get us all.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, thinking about it, planning for it, making sure that you're eating right, those types of things. So I love that you have that on there from that perspective. And I go back to come at that from like a client approach too. You know, it's that's, to me, you could just be the cross the T's, dot your I's, here's your plan.
Yeah.
But people want people that like really care for them and want that. And if you're excited for one of your clients because they're, you know, I love you, brother, and I know this breaks your heart, but if they're running a marathon, now you're excited for them because they're doing it. I bet that brings you joy too. And there's an excitement there because you're seeing them winning, because you're seeing them not only have the right policies in place, but you're seeing them take care of themselves and you see them like live to their own best life, right?
Yeah. And just so you know, I go to a lot of races. I go to the Chicago Marathon and watch it. So it's not a loss. I'm embracing it from a different view.
So I'm just going to say maybe that's your podcast. Maybe you do like a marathon podcast. You got a voice for all this. I think, I don't know, I'll just threw that out there. But to me, when I think of, like, people should do what brings them joy. And sometimes what brings us joy could be taken away for whatever reason. But then where else are we being called?
Yeah.
You know, what else could we do in that community? You know, and it's like you're doing it. You're out there supporting the racers and you're doing it in your own way. And I think that's important. Sometimes people stop because that joy is taken away from them. They're resentful. But at the end of the day, maybe your path is just being redirected.
Yeah. No, I agree. Every day I feel more in tune with that path. Right. You're right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Can I say one other thing?
Please. Yeah.
Back on this sheet, you talked about that, the one about the healthiest version of yourself. Mm-hmm. The other thing I talk a lot about with groups is like a healthy culture. And one of the things that I think as a society we've done in the workforce is that when we reward our employees, we want to give them food and alcohol, right? We want to give them sugar, and which is okay. But the one thing that I talk about is, you know, get some healthy habits in there too. You know, have once a quarter, have a healthy meal, and just say, you know, we're just going to have a healthy meal today, and we're gonna give tribute to the fact that being healthy and having knowledge of this is going to help us with our premiums. It's going to help us with our business, you know. And I think just to give tribute once in a while to that, to change that culture of, you know, hey, when we celebrate, we're going to drink and have bad food. I smile a little bit because I'm guilty of it. I've always been guilty of that.
Live a little.
And I think it's stuff like that. You know, just little tweaks can change us and make significant change over time. Yeah. So these are the types of, and again, these are the types of things that I talk about.
It's great insights,
slight edge,
John.
you know, slight edge.
I love that approach. And I go back to, you're looking at that, you know, not just as an insurance policy, but as a human on the other side of that, or a family of humans on the other side of that insurance policy, which I think is great. Yeah. Obviously, as we continue to talk, this wasn't just a business transformation for you as you continue to chisel up. It's changed your life. What shifted for you mentally, emotionally, or even spiritually? Anything you want to share?
God, you ask such tough questions, and
I make people cry, man.
I know.
Curiosity's a mofo, all right? You know? But it's real, man. We all have this human experience, and if we allow that emotion to be able to take through, or whatever that is, we all have this journey. And I'm passionate about being curious with people to bring out those things, because I think it can help us all. Yeah. And I think you're brave, and just like many other people that come in here to share their stories are brave, because it's not always easy to be able to do it, but it's important. And it's important because we all could support each other, and we could all learn from each other, even if it's maybe not what to do, right? We could still learn, right? Yeah. So for you, what shifted?
You know what shifted, and I'm landing here. It's taken me this last year of being healthy to do this, but what shifted is that life is a gift, right? Life is a gift.
Amen.
And I didn't know that. I took that for granted. And life is a gift, and being 100% of how we feel is a gift. And so many days of not feeling 100%, feeling 20%, 50%, 70%. What I think is important in the shift that happened into me is waking up and giving 100% on something, and I see myself doing that, it's like, oh, I may not want to do this today, but I got to give 100%, I got to be present. And I think that's been the biggest shift for me in trying to take this energy. And even though I'm a different person than I was a year ago, just to bring to the table and not just be too difficult to work with others. It's like, I feel this way, like give 100%, but maybe not everybody's there, So I just want to give grace to the fact that, maybe not everybody's feels the way I do, but that's kind of how I landed.
Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody has their own journey. I think that the important piece of I think the takeaway for me to share with people is own your journey, lean into it, and what's supposed to happen? What are you learning? What are you doing? In order to do that, you have to take care of yourself. You have to sit in stillness. You have to really listen. Yeah. Those things take a long time in life. They do not happen overnight. But to be able to do that, I think is so important. Next question. What role has your faith or inner strength played in navigating recovery and your purpose?
Everything. I mean, during this journey, I definitely have gotten closer to God, and I definitely have developed a prayer life that's consistent and stable and meaningful. And so I think it started with that. I started with my relationship with God. And, through this journey, it's led me to a lot of spiritual conversations and paths and things that I'm doing religiously. So it's funny you said that, but yeah, it has everything to do with my recovery and my strength and where I'm at.
Yeah, it's a foundation for many.
Yeah.
You said a lot in there, but a question I have for you from within that is, you talked about prayer. You talked about a higher being.
Yeah.
And prayer for me is something that could be life-changing. Prayer, meditation, stillness, one with our Creator, whichever view yours is. Yep. As a human. But sitting in that stillness and in that prayer, it could be life-changing, right? Yeah. How has that prayer helped you?
Again, you asked really great questions. So honestly, candidly, God and I had a lot of battles. I think there was a lot of candid conversations. I was very angry at times with God. Yeah. Why did this happen? Why can I not be healthy? Why did you take away these things? And so it wasn't all pretty, right? It wasn't, I wish I could say it was all a beautiful conversation, but I think in the humility of all of it, I think that what I realized is that through prayer, my relationship with God, is that I'm exactly where I'm at. And, the outcome of this and just even the opportunity to do this and the things that are positively coming out of this, that's what the journey was. And so now the more I focus on my prayer around the positive aspect, thank you, Lord, for bringing me through this, it feels a lot different than it did, So I think that journey is just, it was a special journey too.
Yeah, you triggered on something there too for me that I could relate with, and I'm guessing others can too, is being angry at God. That's real. And sometimes people are like, oh, no, it can't happen, or they're scared to let it out. But that, to me, and this is my experience, tell me if it's right or wrong from your perception, but that getting angry was a part of my healing process.
Yes.
Because then I had to flip to go to what's next.
Yes.
And everybody's journey is going to be different, but yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure when people hear that, it's like, well, what is the guy talking? But that was part of the relationship.
It's real, man.
That was part of the relationship. That was part of the deal. And it was part of, me getting to this side and being okay with everything that happened.
God puts us through the ringer.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're pissed. It hurts. It sucks. It beats us down. We cannot pretend to understand it as humans. But to sit in prayer and to sit in stillness and to focus in on taking care of ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, making sure we're having the right policies so we don't have that anxiety about what happens if I leave this earth, etc. It's so, so important. through that process, through that anger process, through that, we sit in stillness. And if we're doing these other things that are good for us humans, we learn what he's teaching us, or the Spirit's teaching us, or whatever's teaching us, the universe teaches us, whatever that is for those people. Yeah. And what's next? But to you, and you keep. I didn't know this conversation was going to go anywhere. I'm super grateful for this, John. But I look at our journey and how the evolution's come. I've seen over the last year and a half, I've seen you grow and I've seen you heal to now being here, like, is a part of this, but it doesn't mean you weren't mad at God in the middle of it. It wasn't mean, but because you worked on it, because you were able to climb out to get to where you're at, but you focused in on prayer. You focused in on taking care of yourself. You focused in on modifying your business to be better for others. Like, you should be frapping proud of yourself, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's you're
embarrassing me a little.
Yeah, well, it's we don't see that when we're on our own skin. Yeah. We don't, and life's hard. But so good rhythms are really important that are healthy for us because it's gonna go like this. Yeah. So to me, when I hear your story, it inspires me to be able to pull out what's real in all of us. Within your story, even though our stories are different, a lot of the same triggers are the same, and the rhythms that we could adapt to, the self-care we could implement, the stillness that we could go in, the something to learn that inspires us to grow. Yeah. Could help chisel us to be better humans, but we're gonna have to quiet our minds first. Because we got to hear what's being said to us and what we're supposed to do. And sometimes I feel like in this society, we're just stuck in an algorithm, and I don't want to hate you because you got this thing, this disease that my algorithm says that there's no way that you could have from this shot, which is frapping ridiculous. Like, get out into your front yards, neighbors. Like, you're letting me preach today, brother, so let's go. I want to keep going on you. I appreciate this, though, man, so much. And this conversation. So, as we continue to wrap up, I think we did a lot of this would offer hope and wisdom to the community from your perspective. If there's somebody out there now navigating a diagnosis or stuck in a broken healthcare process, what would you tell them?
There's hope. Yeah, there's hope. I mean, I think one thing, and as you were talking, this is another message I was thinking about, which goes with your question, is that, the one thing through my journey that I want people to know is that there's hope, right? Mm-hmm. There's alternatives. And so you have to, one, not give up. Two, you have to always see a silver lining. That's hard to do. And some people would be like, shut up, Dobbins. This is really tough. But I think there are silver linings. And sometimes you have to look a little harder for them.
And maybe we don't want to see it because that silver lining is frapping hard, and whatever that reason is. But there usually is a silver lining. I would totally agree with you. There's something underlying that you're supposed to take away from whatever you're going through. Yeah. Keep going, sorry.
And so if you feel like you're really stuck, I would say really mix it up, right? Go get a second opinion. Go. If you really feel stuck, you got to do something that's going to push you outside of this stuckness. And so call me if you want to too, because I'll talk like that. But you got to do something that's going to find an alternative. You got to surround yourself by people that are going to support you and take action.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Where can people connect with you or learn more about what you do as you say that?
Yeah, J Dobbins, Dobbins at jkrug, not jkrug, jkrug.com. And that's one place. And, two things that have come out of this for me that I'm super passionate about. One is helping people when what I'm finding now is I'm sharing my story. A lot of people have the same story or similar stories, and we were all going through this at the same time. So I would love to create like a group of like wellness where you have an issue and it's like you get to go online and everybody who has this issue gets to see that, look, I'm not alone, And that's the one thing that I'm thinking about technology-wise is building this community for people that have these crazy things. The second thing
that's when you need to come back on the show and let's talk about that. But keep going. Yeah.
No, that's big because we all need to share our stories that help each other. But the second thing I'm really passionate about is this transparency of not being able to understand our healthcare claims and things like that. I've just joined the Big I. It's an insurance association. I'm on the government relations committee, and we go down to Congress. We're going to go in the fall again and fight healthcare issues, you know? And so again, that's the other thing I'm passionate about, is that let's not leave it the way it is. Let's do everything we can to change legislation, transparency. So these are the two things that came out of this for me that I'm passionate about. So if anybody wants to talk more about those types of things, I'd love to have that conversation again. Same email, but
yeah. Beautiful, man. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah.
And I appreciate this conversation.
Yeah.
Like I said, when we started, it's been a long time coming. And we had a plan. We deviated from the plan a little bit. And I think it was for a reason. I think it was supposed to, because even though this conversation was about insurance, I found it to be pretty insightful. And that comes from your courage to be able to share your story.
Yeah.
I know that's not always easy. But it's helpful. Somebody's going to hear this, and it's going to help in some way or another, and hopefully gives them hope that they could get through it, and whatever they're going through, but also that they need the right coverage at the end of the day, so when shit hits the fan, that they're taken care of. So I appreciate you, John. Thanks, man.
Well, thank you. And I just so you know, I've not shared the story like this, you know, and I've shared parts of it. But you've brought out this emotional side. So thank you. And you know, I feel a little sensitive about sharing it. But again, you brought it out, and I think it's important just to help where I can help. So thank you.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate you being you, and I'm honored to be able to bring your story to life. Yeah. Awesome, man. My friends, if you need an insurance agent, this guy's got a big heart, you can tell. And he's going to put your needs at the forefront, and he's going to use his life experiences to help you do that. We talked about a lot here. I'm not going to go into all of it. Just love your neighbor. Talk to people. Get out of your algorithm. We're stronger together as community members. And this time in history, they're trying to put us against each other. Him at the COVID shot was one of them. That was like 2-3 years ago, whatever. People upset, all this craziness on social media and all this. Get out of your algorithm. Talk to your neighbors. Understand that we all have different stories and different perceptions of what we see because of our stories. But if we could get out of ourselves and we could look at the perspective of things, and we could see both sides, or that there's numerous sides to things, and then we could sit back at the table and look to build win-wins, game on. Support local, love local. We're stronger together. Peace.